Whether nostalgia for the prairie or a bad climate leads to the fact that a strong American guy, a Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck, is moping and sick in Russia. The Silverado name has long been known in the automotive market as the Chevrolet Blazer K-Series versions were called, and only from the second half of the 90s, these full-size pickups were separated into a separate family. The Silverado clan, one of the top 3 best-selling pickup trucks in America, is very numerous. In total, there are more than 200 modifications, differing not only in units like the engine or the presence of all-wheel drive. No, the differences are much more significant. Let's start with the fact that the cars were offered with different nominal payloads, 1500, 2500, and 3500, where the presence of an additional HD index, heavy duty, indicates that we have a reinforced modification ready to take on board more than the standard one. As is customary in the land of large pickups, it was possible to choose from 3 types of cabs: single, regular cab, 1.5, extended cab, and double, crew cab, with a number of seats from 3 to 6. Moreover, there are modifications both with a triple front seat and with 2 separate chairs. The length of the wheelbase, not tied to the type of cabin, is in the range from 30-23 to 42-55 mm. But that's not all. There is a Silverado with dual rear wheels, and there are also swivel ones. Designed to improve agility, the quadristeer system turns the rear wheels in the opposite direction of the steering wheel at speeds up to about 15 km per hour. And as soon as the speed increases, all the wheels turn in the direction of the turn. In order not to get bogged down in detailed descriptions, let's clarify that the restylings of 2001, 2004, and 2006 did not cover all versions. Some configurations received a new face and stuffing, some remained unchanged. So, what is it like, this pickup truck, which is considered quite reliable and unpretentious in its homeland? And here it is just right to remake the well-known saying in a new way: what is tolerable for a Russian is death for an American. The cowboy did not turn out to be ready for life in the mud, and not at all off-road, as well as for anti-icing chemistry. In the southern regions of our country, there are very few problems with Silverado, and they are mainly related to bad fuel. The check engine burning on the dashboard haunts owners like a recurring bad dream. The reason is either in the destruction and melting of the catalysts, or in the electronic throttle clog due to dirty air. The catalyst must be replaced. Collective farm options with its cutting out are not very suitable for a difficult power supply system, which on fresh cars corresponds to Euro 4. Well, the damper is cleanable. In the central zone of Russia and in the north, corrosion is also added. All unpainted parts of the suspension and chassis are covered with a thick layer of rust for a couple of winters. However, this does not affect the speed and does not violate the aesthetic perception, because without a lift it is not visible. But brake pipes and fuel lines that have rotted through are already a completely different matter. So at each MOT, their inspection is the first thing. However, no diamond eye can guarantee how long these tubes will last. But even in prosperous America, one corrosive problem has lit up after all. Due to rust, the tailgate mount broke. Can you imagine what Pearl Harbor happened on the road when the cargo fell out there? Nearly 1 million vehicles have come under a recall campaign related to this issue. We should also mention the fastening of the spare wheel, suspended under the bottom. It doesn't break, it just turns sour, so much so that you can't remove the spare tire without plumbing equipment. In the all-wheel drive transmission, recall that there are also simple rear-wheel drive versions. The transfer case mode selection actuator was blacklisted. By the way, there are 4 modes themselves: rear-wheel drive, auto 4WD, where the front axle is automatically connected when the rear wheels slip, all-wheel drive with rigidly connected axles, and the same, but with a reduction gear. The malfunction of the actuator manifests itself in the fact that it is impossible to turn on any of these modes or, worse, turn it off. What is it like to drive a couple of 100 kilometers to a service on a lower row, and even with the hard all-wheel drive? The problem is usually solved by cleaning the contacts of the actuator, but sometimes you have to change it. The crosses of the cardan shafts, not burdened with grease fittings, are not very hardy. Well, at least they don't go to spare parts entirely with the cardan. Gearboxes were offered both mechanical, on cheap end, as a rule, rear-wheel drive modifications, and automatic. Automatic machines, up to about 150,000 kilometers, can withstand very tough operation, but then the likelihood of them getting into repairs is quite real. The issue price is 70 to 100,000 rubles, which includes a new clutch package, a torque converter, and sometimes a planetary gear. The independent front suspension in the average mode can withstand about 100,000 kilometers. Then it's time to change the ball bearings of the upper and lower arms and often silent blocks. Around the same time, steering tips are asked for updates. As for the front hubs, from the domestic hummocky roads they begin to scream, or rather, buzz, without even passing 100. Change hub assembly. Almost no negatives are known about motors. Listing engines is of little interest, because more than a dozen of them were offered, both gasoline and diesel. Well, except to mention the monstrous gasoline V8 8.1L, 344 horsepower, and a solid diesel 6.6L, 304 horsepower. The most modest engine is the V6 4.3L, 195 horsepower. The most common V8 5.3L, 288 horsepower, is known to have a problem with high-voltage wires. They are in the zone of dirt and begin to play pranks with age. In the electrical part, apart from what can be oxidized from reagents, there is one potentially weak element, the instrument panel. Its breakdowns are eliminated by replacing the unit with a new one, and this is not easy to do, because the new panel must be registered in the engine control unit, and this requires dealer equipment. That, in fact, is all the negative accumulated by this family. Although how much positive is left behind the scenes. Silverado is the kind of car that you can drive in St. Petersburg and get off in Samara and feel like a cucumber. Yes, and the list of comfort systems in it is downright sybaritic. There is a dual-zone climate control, and numerous electric seat adjustments, and a Bose audio system. In general, I don't want to, but it's better somewhere along the endless prairies.